Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another Tell the Truth episode. Myself, DG, we will be having CJ here soon. And we have a special guest here, Mr. PJ Green. How you doing, man?
The infamous one.
I'm good, man. Thank y'all for having me on. Thank y'all for having me on.
Absolutely.
Yes,
The
sir.
digital reporter for Fox 4. Happy to have you here. Look, you have a pretty nice history as far as covering football, talk a little bit of the NFL draft and some of your other stops in Georgia. So we're gonna get into a few different things here. Look, I would be remiss if we did talk about the thing that kind of we'll start with the funnier thing and then we'll start to the more serious thing. Mr. PJ Green has gone viral in recent days because of Chiefs rookie minicamp and some tweets that were given out about the Chiefs' first pick in the 2024 NFL draft, Mr. Xavier Worthy. And look, I get it. I understand. You guys have a limited portion to fill. You had to put it out. I don't blame you one bit. There was a strong reaction that was given back to you about that tweet. So just walk us through the process of what happened as far as that video being put out and the reaction that you got in return.
Yeah, like you said, like we only get a limited portion in practice. So we get them catching punts, and then we get kind of the first minute of individual drills until they like tell us, the video portion is done. So yeah, I get like these are just the very first reps of like Louis Reese Ahmed getting the ball, and then like wow, Xavier Worthy going through like his first receiver drill, as a Chief, like for us, the media. So, these are the first reps. So I filmed the first reps. I'm like, these are the first reps. Boom, like whatever. I guess his first couple reps were drops, and I'm like, that's how I go. It's fine. That's how it goes to me. But people like they'll see some of they'll think a certain way about me because of the tweets they see in the past and things like that. And so like they some folks think it's intentional, and I'm like these are literally the very first reps that we get. And like his first two reps were drops, and then he caught everything after that. So and by the time they got to those next two reps, the video portion is done. So like, and I'm not about to sit here and take video of every portion on my phone because we have a camera doing that already. And like that's kind of the main point, is that as long as the TV style is good, that's fine. Like you can think whatever on social media. So, but yeah, that's just that's how that plays out. And I see stuff, I kind of read through it a little bit, but I disregard it. You gotta keep doing the job. You can't let folks get to you.
I was gonna say Bill's Mafia, they caught wind of your video, and boy, them TikTok comments was rolling, bro. I told y'all this is why we didn't draft this guy. I knew he's gonna be a bust. I knew it. I told you. See,
if we call it folks bust off of drills and rookie mini camp, they're like everyone's a bust. Like get out of here, man. Like, because yeah. Like,
no, look, I personally thank you because along those lines, you have a bunch of Bills fans putting out tweets that now I can bookmark and make fun of when we roll around to beat them in the playoffs again. So I think you did a great service to us.
Works out when he's catching touchdowns against them in the playoffs, and
yes.
then we can just, say run that clip. How about you play that one?
No, exactly. And you know what? That's part of Chiefs Twitter's favorite thing is to keep all the receipts. So yeah, go ahead and keep all the receipts. But,
look, we're just like Kendrick here. We're just baiting, put a little bait out, and we'll go ahead and get you on the back end, man. We got small moves, dog. We're 5 steps ahead. Don't worry about it. Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your journey to get here. Obviously, you come over to KC in November of 2021. So you cover, obviously, speaking of the Buffalo Bills, the 13 seconds game, the loss to the Bengals in the AFC Championship game, and obviously the trade of Tyreek Hill, things along that nature. So obviously from that point forward till now, having back-to-back championships and everything going through this, as far as highlights, I will ask, covering the Chiefs, is there a game that sticks out, a storyline that sticks out, specifically talking to a player throughout a season? Anything from that standpoint that really, sticks in your mind from this team kind of going through the transition that it did after that loss in 2021 and winning back-to-back championships?
I think, I mean, probably 2023, like, this past season of that's the most that we've seen them lose at home, like kind of in this whole dynasty. So, because I'm at every home game, I don't really get to go travel that much. So, we saw them lose the Eagles, saw them lose on Christmas Day. We saw them lose the Lions in the season opener. So we saw them take a few good losses at home, and the message for them is it's always the same. It's like we take this lick and it's on to the next one. So I think their ability last year to like not self-implode, even when like the defenses was carrying them throughout majority of that season was very admirable. So yeah, CJ, like
Yeah, CJ.
but yeah, so yeah, I think talking to the defense is probably one thing last year that sticks out the most to me because people think that people thought the Willie Gage situation was my deal, but it's not. Me and Willie probably had the best relationship in the locker room. So just talking to him throughout the season and talking to different guys on defense and yeah, I mean, yeah, they didn't self-implode. They always stood by him, and they always like their resilience was very admirable last year. It was very admirable. Like I didn't think I thought that their kind of their thought process of like everybody doubted us, because like just me personally, I don't care about who doubts me or whatever. Like I'm gonna keep doing me. But probably especially professional athletes, you have to have a warped mindset, and like if you see negativity, most times you're gonna have to turn it into positivity or into fuel. So like in that aspect, they did it like almost flawless, like which is crazy. So I think last year was definitely a season that will stick out in my mind forever.
Yeah, I think that's true of pretty much the entirety of Chiefs Kingdom. As we've talked about, the fact, you had a little bit of role reversal with this offense being able to, obviously go through the struggles they did and have the defense carry them at times. But still, I thought Mahomes would have lost his shit a few times last year. And it took him until, the refs, possibly made a mistake so that he could have the outlet to lose it as opposed, even though he lost it on Tony later on in the season as well. But, hey, that's what a great leader does. And that's what Patrick Mahomes was able to do. And I credit that defense, even being without Chris Jones to start the season and be able to keep it together as well. CJ, how you doing, man?
My bad, gang. Technical difficulties. I'm back. I'm back.
Hey, well, at least we made it.
Just in time.
Absolutely. So we covered the Xavier Worthy video.
PJ, you controversial, boy. Sheesh. out the gate. PJ said they're gonna like this one. I'm saying they're gonna go crazy. He said they're gonna love this.
I got what cooking, what
they gonna love this,
for.
boy. He's like, I can't wait. This shit going viral.
Honestly, that thought like creeped up like a tiny bit, but not even really, because I was just like, this is the first rep. It's up.
Yo, I ain't never seen our chat go so crazy in less than 30 seconds.
Bro.
I was like, bro, don't do that ever again.
Why would he share this?
Oh my God.
That was the only rap?
More drops?
Losing.
More drops?
Absolutely
Really?
losing.
We drafted Canadians, don't they?
We dropping the ball already?
Mind you, nobody but Kansas City has won a championship in the last 15 months. But yes,
right.
Over Mickey Manning camp.
The panic was real.
Drops, man.
Bro, that shit was perfect, bro. That was so funny, dog.
The thing is, after last year, you could literally take 5 of the UDFAs and Pat will run them out there and make shit happen. Like it's like you gonna make it happen. Like at this point,
is what it is.
Like,
that's a fact.
You can't at all. I mean, I can't deny it at this point. He made it happen with anybody. For all intents and purposes, Nicole Harbin caught the Super Bowl winning touchdown. Before that, it was Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney with touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Yeah. So anything is possible, man. As long as Patrick Mahomes is out there, man. So I did say the other serious thing, of course, as far as off the field storylines in a non-comedic manner. Rashee Rice obviously has the incident earlier in this offseason in which he was racing down the highway with a few of his friends as well in Dallas, Texas. It appears there is a questioning currently going on as to an incident in which a photographer was allegedly struck outside of a nightclub. Rashee Rice is wanted for said questioning as well, also in Dallas, Texas. And so that is all the information that we have right now. There's nothing confirmed, no video to this point. There's no confirmation that he's even here yet. My question for you, and then I'll ask DG and CJ about it, is how do you feel about Rashee Rice as far as estimating how the Chiefs feel about Rashee Rice? What was the messaging, PJ, specifically that you heard from the team, obviously, as we met post-draft and into rookie minicamp about the Rashee Rice conundrum and things going on around that kid right now?
Yeah, so I mean, like obviously before stuff happened today, up to this point, I mean, they were pretty, I don't want to say chill, but like, you know, the Chiefs have experience with players getting into legal situations and things like that. So they're always kind of slow to say anything. They're not going to say anything. They're always going to gather information. And you know, Andy Reid is big in trusting his guys. So, you know, he's talking to them all behind the scenes. So is Brett Veach. So I think they always let guys handle their own stuff off the field. But Rashee Rice was still in virtual meetings. You know, he was still working out with Patrick Mahomes. You know, he's been posting videos. So they're going to just chug along as the process goes along. So, you know, there are lots of speculation about how long his suspension could be. I'm not going to guess because there's no point at this point, but it's going to be multi-game suspension. That's kind of that's an easy estimate at this point. So, and they said even drafting Xavier Worthy wasn't about Rashee Rice at all, just because they just love Xavier Worthy that much. So, yeah, they're always gonna let guys handle the legal process. So, yeah, I think if it's going to be some kind of substantial, I think. Like people are speculating, they could bring in another veteran. I think that's a possibility, though.
Yep, and right along those lines, what I was going to ask. Obviously, we saw Tyler Boyd earlier today signed to the Tennessee Titans. We saw Odell Beckham Jr. last week signed to the Miami Dolphins. Zay Jones also took a visit to the Arizona Cardinals. Old friend Marquez Valdez-Scantling also took a visit with the Chargers yesterday, I believe. So, DG and CJ, I mean, how do you feel, obviously, with more up in the air as far as Rashee Rice is concerned? This current depth chart headed up still by Marquise Brown and Xavier Worthy, including Justin Watson, Kadarius Toney, who we heard a report, I believe, from Nick Jacobs earlier today, speaking to the team's confidence still, but not wanting to put too much pressure on Kadarius Toney, and then Sky Moore as well. How do you guys feel about this roster? Would you want to have another veteran wide receiver in? And is there any specific name that comes to mind from that standpoint?
Oh.
Hey, Max, get out the chat, bro. Ain't nobody worried about you, dog.
Yeah, at this point, I've been saying it for a while, and this is even before the Rashee Rice stuff even came about or whatever. Before we drafted Xavier Worthy, I still think that the Chiefs still could use a veteran guy in that locker room, just as a voice, somebody that those younger guys can kind of look to and model their game to be a pro or whatever. I know they signed Hollywood Brown, but I still feel like he's a younger player in this league that's still trying to kind of figure things out as well. So to have a guy that's kind of been around for a little bit or whatever and knows, what to do, what not to do, would be nice to have in this locker room. It's to Max's point. Odell was a guy that I was highly interested in, but unfortunately he signed with, the Miami Dolphins. Tyler Boyd also was another guy I thought that, the Chiefs could potentially be interested in as well too. But now it's looking more of like an NVS might return at this point to KC, and I wouldn't be too upset about it. At least he's a guy that knows our system, knows, what to do, knows how this locker room operates, knows Pat very well. And I know a lot of fans wouldn't, be too excited about that, but I do think that they need that veteran leadership in this locker room, and I think that's something that MVS could bring and provide for you at this point in time, especially if it's a 1 year, cheap kind of deal at that point. So, wouldn't mind an MVS return. I think was there another guy out there I think they was interested in too as well. Maybe a Zay Jones, but at this point I think you're just kind of looking Hey,
list getting real slim.
Yeah, it's getting real slim. So
real
I'll
slim.
put the list on the screen just so you can see, and I'll allow CJ to give his thoughts as well as the current rule.
I guess you could target a guy like Michael Thomas. Maybe the injury history kind of bothers me, but at the same time, he is a guy that has done some things in this league and is a veteran. And would be arguably a cheaper deal. So, with that being said, I'll let CJ cook.
Yeah, it's a two-way decision, honestly. It's either bring MVS back or just roll with what you got. I'm not bringing a veteran, honestly, to just try to have a temporary role with somebody that doesn't know the system. So if I'm going to bring somebody in, MVS is the obvious choice. We know how complicated this offense is to run and how hard it is to learn, especially being in the chemistry with Pat. And MVS has had the ups and the downs of being in this offense the last 2 years. So if you're not going to bring him in, then just roll with what you got. Justin Watson's going to get a lot of volume. People may not want to hear it, but KT and Sky are going to play until we figure out the situation with Rasheed. I think that's the most realistic situation. I think we all would have loved to see a guy like Josh Reynolds was my guy. I wish we could have got him before the draft. That would have been one of the guys I would have loved. But yeah, if after the guys that got all signed, Boyd's gone, Odell's gone, it's either MVS or roll what you got now. That's pretty much the reality of the situation, honestly. Not really anybody on this list that really intrigues me. Allen Robinson, I'm not interested. Hunter Renfrow, I wouldn't mind, but I don't know if the Chiefs really have that much interest in him. He's probably the only guy I maybe would think about. But yeah, it's really, if you're bringing in any guy on this list, just bring back MVS. You don't got to teach him anything. Give him the same number, give him the same locker, and let's roll. Just get out there, bro. You know what time it is.
The show is called "Tell the Truth." Like
we trying to win games, man. We trying to get out there and let's go, bro. You know what time it is.
Yeah, I will say, if McColl's available, don't rule him out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, McColl too.
If McColl's available, don't rule him out.
Either one of the M boys, MVS, McColl, either one.
But I feel like they kind of got like several McColls at this point. No disrespect to McColl or anything. Like,
they got a type. They got a type. Yeah. they really like using these very fast guys. So
I'd love to have them back here.
Yeah, either one.
You know what it is. Look, in my opinion, I would like to see another wide receiver. I think that Michael Thomas makes some sense as far as being able to control the middle of the field, being a little bit of a bigger body, considering you already have this speedy kind of slider build types, obviously in Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy. Sky Moore, I think, is a guy that can continue to develop in the slot, so you can get a little bit of usage out of him. You could do some gadget stuff they had also done with Rashee Rice out of Kadarius Toney from that standpoint. And we know, obviously, Justin Watson is somebody that for the 2 routes per game, as far as a corner or post that Mahomes trusts him on, he will catch the ball. And that is worth something when you're trying to put together a wide receiver room. I also really will suggest somebody that has not been mentioned, Russell Gage, coming off a serious injury last year, somebody that did have a pretty good production in 2022, though, has experience in the league, has gone through a little bit of transition from an offensive perspective, so would not be the worst idea as well. Look, this slim pickings. It is slim pickings at this moment in the offseason. It is what it is. But this is when these guys get paid, so we'll end up seeing if somebody is brought in from that standpoint. So rolling the clock back a little bit, PJ, to go from a kind of a 5,000-foot view of the Chiefs offseason, obviously bringing in Hollywood Brown, making the decision to tag and then later trade L'Jarius Sneed, obviously being able to retain Chris Jones at a massive contract, Travis Kelce extension. How do you feel about the Chiefs and their quest, both from obviously the short term and trying to do something that is unprecedented from an NFL's perspective in 3P, but also for their long-term setup and what they choose to invest in as far as their offseason decisions this year?
I mean, on paper, they made all the perfect decisions. I mean, you extend your front office, you extend all your top guys, you trade an asset, but a replaceable asset, and something that you can do, and then the draft class from what we've seen in just these short 3 days. I mean, if these guys stay healthy and like actually perform well in pads like throughout the whole offseason, then they're cooking with gas. So they made all the perfect moves right now. So I mean, there's on paper, because it's a long year, but like right now it looks like the 3P is like it's on track.
Sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't blame you for that one bit. The other thing I'll say is you specifically mentioned obviously trading the jersey and getting that asset back. I think the fact that going into the NFL draft that you were able to come out of that draft, still get guys that you specifically wanted and Xavier Worthy and Kingsley Sue and Mattia in trade ups and still retain. I know I almost lost it halfway through the name. I was holding on for dear life halfway through the name. Shout out to Kingsley. He did tell us how specifically to pronounce his name on the podium during rookie minicamp. But being able to retain that 2025 third round pick, I think, is important as well. Because you are going obviously in the situation in which these guys are highly paid. Travis Kelce is now the highest paid tight end. Obviously, we know, Jawan Taylor's making real money. Joe Tooney's making real money. Patrick Mahomes has a huge deal. Obviously, Chris Jones got his new huge deal. You got to find cheaper assets from that standpoint. And obviously now that 2025 third round pick can, produce another one as well. So DG and CJ, my question will be obviously looking back at the entirety of the offseason now that we can kind of fully digest it. How do you feel about the way that Brett Veach went about it? And is there anything specifically from a glaring need perspective that you feel like huge question mark wise going into obviously the summer where veterans will be added, but coming into training camp around the corner?
Nothing for me. As far as all the holes that we really pretty much had, anything that really was a need for this team was depth. Because as far as like you got your two tackles for the future, whether you decide Wanye becomes the starter or Kingsley breaks out and gets the job as a rookie, you got two young guys that you feel like Andy Head can take and mold them into a starter, maybe this year or give it next year. And that possibility of bringing Donovan Smith is still back as an option as well. So I think he kind of cleared that up. But that was really the biggest question mark for me, if you want to call it that, on the roster. Everything else was depth. You brought in Jalen Hicks to be another safety, a rotational guy in that back end, which Coach Mary's done an amazing job with. You got to actually a tight end for the future, which we've been begging for after the last year's class was so deep at tight end, you didn't grab any of them. So we all were happy to see to get Wiley in the building as well. You definitely got another guy as far as depth pieces. We added a guard, a center, and a tackle. So anybody in the future, per se, if we happen to lose a guy like Trey Smith, if a guy like Joe Tooney happen to leave, you have replacement guys you think can turn into starters one day. So anything we needed was, as far as depth, I think we did a great job of replacing. So we got our receiver that we would like to have as our number one option, given the fact whenever Trav decided to leave, I know he has a couple years left on his deal. So everything that we needed for this team, essentially, we replaced. Now we just got to develop guys like PJ said. If they're looking good so far, now you got to put the pads in, and the work always comes first. But so far, so good. I love what Beach did this offseason. All the questions we had, he pretty much answered. Now it's about putting the work in now.
Yeah, I would agree to everything that CJ said. I always applaud Brett Veach for sticking to his philosophy, which is trying to make sure that this team gets younger year in and year out, and keeping that championship window extended and open as long as you can. You can't do that if you got guys in the locker room that are aging, and it's just tough to keep that train rolling. So for them to bring in younger guys and try to find guys for the future to be around here for Patrick Mahomes to play with, getting a guy like Kingsley is especially for the value that they were able to get him in the second round, and then leapfrogging a team that you beat in the Super Bowl to go get him, who I felt like at that point in time the Niners needed a tackle, and you was able to somehow work that trade out. I'm not sure how Brett Veach, gets some of this stuff done, but he has a plan, obviously, going into the offseason, and he attacked it very well. There was no real massive holes I felt like that this team had that they really just necessarily needed to address outside of maybe the left tackle position or whatever. But at the end of the day, I felt like they executed their plan very well, built this roster to what it is right now, and I think they're well in prime position to go out there and three-peat this year, or at least be competitive year in and year out, and that's all I ask for them, is to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Veach has certainly put this team in a great position to compete now and moving forward. And you talked specifically about obviously developing guys, and I realized over the weekend when it came out that Mr. Gregory Dieter, aka Mahomes' best friend, is back on the coaching staff now as an intern.
That's funny. Now that's funny.
I was like, look at that. He made his way back to the Chiefs.
Crazy thing. Wow.
Yeah. I wonder if Pat had a little bit of something to do with that, Pat. Pat put in a good word,
he was at minicamp the whole weekend.
Oh God, that's funny.
I'm like, hey, he supposed to have like a show or go on radio or something.
We coaching now.
Yeah,
he's like, why he got a coaching shirt on?
Coach Dieter.
Right, yeah, exactly. I'm like,
what you doing?
He done made his way into the AP photos, like talking to Jimmy Worthy. I'm like, do they know this man? I guess they do.
What you doing?
Do they know who this is? No, it's funny. I've literally watched Garrett Dieter when he was at Bowling Green before he even went to Bama. So I remember them Bowling Green teams like the 2010s was like running the MAC. Like so, I've been watching Garrett Dieter for years. Like it's crazy.
Yep. That is fire.
No, it's it.
Shout out to Gregory Dieter, man. Shout out to Dieter, man.
Gregory Dieter is a testament to the power of connections in this world. I'll tell you that right
Not
now.
about what you know. It's about who you know.
His connections, boy. I need his phone book for sure.
What I'm saying?
It's been excellent for him. But yeah, so that development is going to be fascinating to see. Obviously, stuff at rookie minicamp is incredibly basic. It's really just, hey, we're getting everybody together, putting some people on the field, et cetera, et cetera. There was something interesting that I will say roster-wise that did happen. Cole Christensen, I believe, had his restricted free agent tender revoked. And that was something, they had to pare down the 90-man roster because they had a few extra invites from that standpoint. And I'll say, obviously, moving forward as we go throughout the summer, we'll do our all, positional reviews and everything. It'll be fascinating to see. I think that, bodes well for a guy like Curtis Jacobs, either to stick, possibly on the roster as a sixth linebacker with the new kickoff rules or something specifically as a practice squad player as well. So a lot of things coming from a roster flux on the bubble. But when you're talking about a team that has won back-to-back Super Bowls, like you guys said, not many holes to be found. And a lot of them are only at the depth spots because there's a whole lot of talent on this roster that knows how to get the job done as well from that aspect. Speaking of which, as far as talent adding to this roster, obviously the Chiefs go up and get their guys Xavier Worthy and Kingsley Suamataia. I'm going to get it right again. And obviously they get some good value as far as Jaden Hicks, Jared Wiley in the fourth round, add some depth DBs as far as Kamal Hayden is concerned, depth offensive lineman with Hunter Norzad and CJ Hansen. PJ, as somebody that has had experience, obviously covering the drafts, writing about the drafts in the past, anything specifically stand out to you from that aspect?
Just with the O-lineman in general or the whole draft?
Whole draft in general, okay. Anything that you found was highlights. You can talk about the entire draft you're going to, but just things that stuck out to you. Yeah.
I will say after watching, I saw some Wiley highlights before camp, and I'm just saying, I'm like, okay, he's killing Baylor. Like, no offense to Baylor, but they weren't great last year.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, I see the athlete. I'm like, okay. We see him walk in. I think we see him walk in before they even practice. And he walks into the press room. And my first thought was, this boy big. And then Darren Smith radio actually says, he's like, damn, he big. And he just starts busting out laughing. And we're busting out laughing. Then we go to the field, and I'm like, this man moves good for 6'2", 250. I mean, I'm like Irv Smith.
Hey, PJ.
I don't know.
PJ, I tried to tell him.
I say, Irv, I don't know. No.
Irv, I love you, dog, but hey, this boy right here, hey.
Noah Gray is good because he know the playbook. I said, once Wiley knows the playbook, and if he can start running them option routes like Kelsey, I said,
that's
that red zone about to get real
simple. Different.
I think if Wiley can learn the playbook and get things quickly, Noah Gray is consistent and he's a steady Eddie T and tight end too. But if Wiley can learn the playbook quick, because he can do all those option routes that Kelsey does, just sit in zones and then move and things like that. So if he can learn it, and they can possibly go out with two tight end sets where one will go do the overhang and Kelsey will sit over the middle, or vice versa, plus all the speed on the outside, it really could be a return of 2019 if everything falls like it could. that's a lot to put on Wiley early. He's still a rookie, but yeah, the possibilities with him are endless. The linemen, I mean, there's only so much we can tell from rookie minicamp with no pads. Kingsley, I studied Kingsley like in the draft lead up. I thought he moved really well. I thought he had good hands. I mean, I saw that on during minicamp. So it's all about just seeing it in pads now and seeing the actual physicality. Xavier Worthy, I mean, the first day was like so just because like, you know, it's the first day, so like we only hold it so much against folks. Right. They like I thought like just like towards the end part of practice he caught some cramps. Like they said it was cramps and it was light. They were like, it's the first day. Like you don't need to overextend yourself. So, but he came back day 2 rolling. Day 3, like came back rolling. So he's looking good. And then Hicks was like, he knows what he's doing already. So he's a smart kid. He's a smart kid, and like he's already been lining up. Like he's already like first day he got one-on-one teaching from Spags for like a good 5 or 10 minutes.
You know what that means.
So yeah, and then day 2 he got another good 5 or 10 minutes with Spags, just one-on-one, just about like working blitzes and like moving in coverage. And he's already doing it. We already saw him like disguising things and stuff like that. So he's picking up everything quickly. So they're optimistic that Brian Cook can come back for camp, but like if you have to roll with Reed, Shamari Connor, and Hicks, like I think you can roll with that easy. So again, these are just from 3 days. So we got a long process, but everything looks like it's shaping up in the rookie class. It's gonna be real fun to watch.
Absolutely. You want, your draft picks to stand out from that standpoint. And if they don't obviously have a good start, at least have a strong finish, obviously, as it pertains to Xavier Worthy from that standpoint. But yeah, look, I'm so excited for this safety room. Obviously, we know how much Spags loves to use 3 safety sets from that aspect. And Jaden and Justin from that point gives you really box versatility where there's a lot of dime linebacker sets that you can choose to use from that aspect. And obviously we know Shamari is very comfortable in the slot. Jaden Hicks is somebody that played a lot in the slot from that aspect where it's wide receiver or tight end. So the versatility, the physicality, because all 4 of those guys do like to hit. They got no problems doing it. And obviously the cornerback position now having lost L'Jarius Sneed, but still feeling good about Watson and Williams, and obviously Trey McDuffie, all-pro corner, heading up that group. The secondary looks like it's poised to continue its excellent play from last year into this year as well. The other thing I'll ask, obviously being out there in minicamp, as we talk about guys that stood out, is there anybody that was not in that draft class that caught your eye while you were out there?
So the first day, the local kid, Phillip Brooks from Kansas State, he had a really good first day, just because like he was just killing dudes. Like he had about 3 or 4 passes where he was just wide open in the post, like literally, or like on flies. And then like next couple of days, guys kind of got caught up because they started getting the playbook down. So but he had a couple good days. Hayek, who they just signed, and then they cut Brown. He had some good days too. Who else did I see that I was? I mean, it's still like it's mostly gonna be skill players just because like rookie minicamp. Oh yeah, it's rookie.
Absolutely.
So fast. It's mostly gonna be skill guys.
Any of the running backs, maybe.
Luis, did he do anything?
I know people got to ask about Luis, of course.
I just want to know, can he take handoffs well? That's all I want to
know. Nah. Luis, like, he has to learn the game. Like that's the thing for him. Like,
exactly.
Like I'm like he's practicing like holding the ball because it's totally different.
Thank you. That's exactly the thing. That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah, no, he's practicing everything, but he's picking stuff up quick though. So that's the thing, and like you see the speed, like the speed is there. Like I'm like when I first saw the news, I'm like, okay, he could run 4.4, great. The broad jump was 9.7. Now, what is that? Like that was my question. But he did some good cuts. He had one kind of screenplay where he like took it to the house in the indoor and like made some cuts there. So like there's potential there, but I'm more so worried about like how's his run blocking look? Like, how's he going to absorb the playbook? So he has to learn from the ground up. So like put him as he's automatically on the roster. Just crock pot. Crock pot.
It's a great way to put it. Let him simmer.
Let him cook.
from the running backs, I mean, still it's still mostly pass, so you can't really see visions and whatnot. But Hassan Hall, like Imani Bailey, I mean, we saw him catch passes. I mean, we can't really tell much right now. So
right.
Well, we'll see when the pads get on OTAs.
Yep, absolutely. Always looking forward to when we put the pads on as well. And I love your point specifically about Jared Wiley. And it's also fun to hear that he's an imposing figure in person. Because I don't know if we've seen a tight end, obviously height-wise, that can go up and high point that football from that standpoint. I think that even from day one, there's a package you could use for him that is the Jody Fortson role, but in a bigger body. And specifically in the red zone, because you need that ability to box people out when you get in tight like that. And the fact that you have, the ability for him to upgrade on Blake Bell from the 13 personnel from day one, whether it's him or Irv Smith, and obviously we'll talk about how that goes through as far as training camp battles is concerned. I'm looking forward to it because I think it's going to be extremely exciting to have him back there with Mahomes and how Mahomes can use him from that standpoint as well.
Hey, respect Blake Bell, bro. Wichita Legend, stop playing.
Wichita Legend, yeah.
Respect Blake Bell, bro.
No, don't put Blake Bell and
What the? Did you? Wichita Legend? What are you talking about? He played quarterback, bro, and played tight end. Did you do that? I ain't think so. Respect Blake Bell, bro.
Don't do that.
I'm just going to smile.
Dog. Stop playing with him, bro.
Smile.
Hey, Blake, you good? Blake, you good in my book, G.
I just wish she would have actually been good at quarterback for Oklahoma, because that would have been that was like. Because I would play NCAA, and you play through the years, and I'm like, who is this passing and running through my dudes? I'm like, oh, Blake Bell. Hey, I can't stop this man. 6'6", 240. Like,
big boy. It's funny because half my teammates at JUCO when I was at Coffeyville, some of them went to Oklahoma and they played with him too. So it's just so funny to see him transition. They were always saying like, bro, he's not gonna be a quarterback. I was like, he's like, they all knew it too. But hey, he tried it though, so I'll give him his credit though.
Hey, he's stuck in the league. That's
all that matters.
All
that matters.
He definitely did. So I know we're gonna get back to the Chiefs, but I gotta ask now. I mean, NCAA, we're all excited for it.
I can't wait, boy.
PJ, what you gonna do when you get your hands on it immediately? What's the first thing you're gonna do?
I just hope it's not like Madden. I
know that's all we're praying.
Please, God, please.
Do not be Madden gameplay. That's what made NCAA all these years is that it was similar to Madden, but it was never exactly like Madden.
Facts.
It felt like NCAA always felt arcadey, which was great for what it was, because it's college football. It shouldn't feel like a serious game.
Exactly.
Like I shouldn't be playing 11-on-11 mascots. I should have quadruple option, RPO, whatever. So I'm the person that I don't want no trailers. I don't watch no trailers. I don't want no teasers. Let the game drop.
Give me the game.
So I'm excited. I don't even know what's supposed to come out.
I'm definitely taking off work. I ain't leaving the crib for a good 48 hours. Not gonna lie. I'm gonna be in the crib all day, labbing.
Hands gonna be numb.
Facts.
I can't wait to run that first Dynasty.
Man, I'm doing all
recruiting.
Gamer tag will be in my bio if you want to holler at me.
Facts. Let's run it.
Tap in.
I cannot wait.
I can't wait to finally pick up Georgia Southern in a video game again.
Please tell me at HBCUs. Please tell me you at HBCUs.
I don't think they will, but I'll be creating Howard regardless.
I'm gonna be baby. I'm like, let's go.
We make it Grambling or Savannah State. I'm doing it.
Absolutely, for sure. You got to make it if they're not in the game, without a doubt. Oh man, I can't wait for that.
Yeah,
game. It's supposed to come out this summer. So I think it's July. I think because they usually they're trying to do it a month before Madden. So, like you said, just praying. Please don't make it just a Madden. From that standpoint as well. The next thing around the corner as far as the NFL draft calendar, or I shouldn't say draft calendar, NFL calendar in general is concerned, is the schedule release. We got the official date will be May 15th. So for you, obviously somebody that doesn't necessarily go to road games, obviously covers every home game. I'm sure those days are paramount. Anything specifically that you will be looking at? Everybody's always going to be home opener. When is that going to happen? holiday games, obviously. Is there anything specifically from your standpoint, though, that is top of mind that you're looking at first thing that when that schedule will drop?
I mean, my eyes would kind of be like everyone else, which is when are they playing Niners? When are they playing Ravens? When are they playing Bills? Like that's and when are they playing Bengals? Like those are like top 4 games that everybody's gonna be thinking about. So like they've always, I think in the past couple of years, they've always played the Bills earlier and they've always played the Bengals later. So I wonder if they just keep that going. I know last year they started with Lions. I don't know who I forgot their full. I think they have the NFC South.
Yep.
Division. Yeah, so they have that. I'm wondering if they start I'm like they'll probably start the season opener again, like on a Thursday night to start the league because Super Bowl champs drop another banner. They'll probably do that same thing again. I'm wondering who that's going to be. Like, could it be the Falcons or could it be the Bills? Like who knows? So that's kind of what my first question is.
Man, bring in CJ Stroud. Anybody trying to hear all that, PJ? They know what. Get the people what they want. Man. They talking, we talking. Come on, man. They know what time it is.
No. The Texans are probably a real contender for like season opener because like especially off the run they had. It makes a whole lot of sense. Plus, we got the light skinned quarterback battle. Like it's gonna be amazing.
Feel me? Diggs already used to coming here anyway. You feel me? Diggs like playing in KC. So everybody get what they want.
I think my personal preference would be the Texans because I think that would be a lot of fun. It makes sense, non-divisional, still outside the conference, but playoff team, and it's not necessarily an AFC Championship game rematch like the Ravens from that aspect. And like you said, CBS is always going to have Josh Allen and Mahomes, no matter what. They're not going to allow NBC to do that for the week one. So I'm going to be fascinated to see. It could be the Bucs as well. We are playing them from their division title last year. Could be from that aspect. I believe Atlanta's on the road this year, so it will not be Atlanta. So obviously we'll be going to Georgia later on in the year from that standpoint as well. So as somebody that I will also say that has covered obviously the NFL draft, it comes from Georgia, I got to ask you about this Michael Penix situation. So what was your reaction when you saw that pick happen?
I'm glad that I, like Bomani Jones, am off the narcotic. I'm not like I'm not living and dying.
Shout out Bomani, bro.
Yeah, shout out Bomani. Like after 28-3 didn't kill me because I expected it. I was like, nah, they ain't winning. So and then it was the next year when they had the like 5 plays in the red zone against the Eagles with like 30 seconds left, and I'm like, all right. Y'all can't score.
Couldn't get the ball. Game. I remember that year. That was so tough, bro.
Throw it away. So I don't live and die by the Falcons no more. But as soon as the pick dropped, like the Mayo family group chat started buzzing. They started FaceTiming me. I'm sitting in the Chiefs draft in like the Chiefs media room. They called me and they're just like,
why?
What are we doing? So on the surface, I get why people are like, this is the dumbest pick in the draft, waste. But like, if you think about it, it actually makes sense because like Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles in November?
Achilles, people.
Achilles at like 36 years old. He's not gonna be ready for the beginning of the season. Aaron Rodgers probably will because that's a whole year because he tore it in the beginning of the year. But no, Kirk, like Cam Akers came back like 6 months. That probably, who knows?
That's some Adrian Peterson type shit. That's crazy.
No.
And he hasn't really been the same since he did that.
Exactly. So this is like a average athlete at quarterback who doesn't run and is coming back off an Achilles. That man's not gonna be ready for week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like picking up a first round quarterback that may or may not be quarterback of the future is like, I don't know about it's smart, but like it, you actually have somebody instead of like a Desmond Ridder or whoever the backup would be. Now the figures are that's where it doesn't make sense because you probably could have drafted Michael Penix later in the first round or even the second round. And you're still paying Kirk Cousins hundreds of millions of dollars. So like,
hey, it's their money, PJ. They don't spend it.
It is their money. So like, like if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. But like,
play ball, you got it.
But like that is an instant classic draft moment of watching Terry Fontenot explain to Arthur Blank why he just spent more of us moving on another quarterback. And I was telling folks to drive for. I'm like, black GM, black head coach, black quarterback. I mean, hey,
they don't call it Black Hollywood for nothing.
Hey, that's Atlanta.
Atlanta about to be popping.
And that's really the beautiful thing about it is it lines up from a draft specific standpoint. If you just like and it works. Penix, they have a good offensive line. They got weapons there.
And
everything lines up. Oof. It's just that there's $100 million of Kirk Cousins just sitting there.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I was like, why'd you do that? You could have spent that money on Danielle Hunter. Like, why'd you go sign Kirk Cousins?
And I understand there are conversations about obviously they wanted to keep this under wraps and they wanted to obviously try to keep it as on the down low as possible. You know, maybe just sign Jameis Winston to a $10 million deal instead if you want to try and, save face that you're not trying to draft a quarterback from that standpoint. Like, don't fully push your chips into $100 million of Kirk Cousins. It is what it is. It's just you don't maximize either one of those paths, whether you're trying to win immediately with Kirk Cousins with $100 million invested, because then you could spend it on a defensive player in the top 10 should you choose to, or obviously you don't maximize the rookie quarterback window because you're using half of that.
Just pick one and go whichever way, but to do both is kind of crazy.
Pick one. They're doing a half and half where it's like all right, we got Kirk Cousins. Like, man, we really like Michael Penix.
I mean, with this roster look a lot different. If you had Jalen Carter was on the table last year. Out of this year, you could have got Dallas Turner. Like, there were so many defensive players, and y'all been begging for sacks since Vic Beasley. And we said this on a couple of our shows ago. I don't mind you taking Bijan Robinson. I love Bijan, but would you rather have Jalen Carter and Dallas Turner for the next 10 years? As great as Bijan is, two great pass rushers, and you can find somebody to run the football.
Yes,
that's how I feel.
Always. Yeah.
There's a lot of Arthur Smith fingerprints on this team for the last few draft years. To say the least.
No defense.
Look.
No defense.
Shout out to my old teammate D. Alford. He played quarterback. He played corner.
Shout out to D. Alford. Hey, look, and I will say I do like Raheem Morris, man. It seems like a good judgment to come in. I absolutely love what he was able to do with the Reds, and so at least from that standpoint, and Fondo, I think he's done a pretty good job from team building. So we'll see how it ends up working down there in the A, and obviously we will be going to play them in that brand new stadium. Well, not brand new, but new, certainly newer stadium from that aspect as well.
Oh, they food hella affordable, D-Back. We got to go to that game. Shout out to Arthur.
Affordable. Look, yes, we've talked about this before. I went to Alabama, Miami for a kickoff game. I think that was like
that slaughtering.
Yo, yeah, it was bad. That was what was Miami's small quarterback? What was Miami's small quarterback?
De'Aaron.
Tate Martell.
Yes, De'Aaron King.
De'Aaron King.
I felt legitimately bad for him watching that game. I was like, he doesn't. It's not good. He looks so much smaller than all of the Alabama players. It was a slaughtering to say the least. But I've been there. I went to the Super Bowl the Super Bowl that they had there, which was an awful game to watch.
Oh, the Rams.
Yes,
that was all the
so. But no, I probably will make my way back to Atlanta for that game because I'm looking forward to it. So shout out to that stadium. It's a very good stadium from that. I've been to Celebration Bowl too. I had to go because
I went to that
Howard
one
was in it.
Celebration Bowl.
So I enjoyed watching that game too. So shout out to that stadium. Obviously moving forward from the schedule release, going into OTAs, training camp from that aspect. There are a few veteran storylines, as far as this team is concerned. A few guys going to last years of their contracts. Obviously, we have Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith coming for an extension, Nick Bolton, obviously. From your standpoint, with the extra cap space that the Chiefs kind of have currently, what are you hearing from maybe the possibility of contract extensions? Do they feel confident as far as bringing those guys back? And which ones would you specifically think that they would prioritize out of that group?
Yeah, I mean, Nick Bolton's number one. Y'all know he's gonna be the first one to get an extension. He's number one. I'm very curious to see what they do with the interior 3 O linemen because Tooney's is coming up. I think they probably might let him walk. And then from there it's kind of choosing between Creed and Trey.
Man, that's Creed. That's easy, PJ. What you talking about? I love Trey, but like, bro, Creed is an all-pro center. What are we doing?
Right, and right. I mean, yeah, that's the thing.
That Nick Bolton being number one, Creed number one for me personally. I'm all about protecting Pat. So and I love Nick Bolton, but 1A, 1B,
yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing is that like I mean we've seen the Chiefs let guys walk before. I mean they let Mitch Morse walk. You know they'll let guys walk, and then they just spent 2 draft picks this year on guard and center. But both of those guys are versatile, so like they can go wherever. So they're depth pieces, but like they could be also fighting for like whoever they don't pay like next year. So watching Norzad and Hansen is definitely going to be interesting this year, just because it'll be a tryout for kind of who will be the 6th or 7th old lineman that travels or like that's on the game day roster, and like who will actually, if either of them could be a chance to be like interior old lineman of the future. So it's going to be interesting to see Bolton. But that's the thing is they're going to have Bolton, they're going to have McDuffie. Actually, the whole Fab Five is coming up. So, but they can put the option on McDuffie. So yeah, that's the bad part about hitting on draft picks is that like you hit and then it's time to pay, and then you don't have the 5th-year option for Nick Bolton, so you got to get that done quick. So
same for Creed, to be honest.
It's both of them.
It's both of them. So and then you also thinking about might be in the back of people's minds, but Moore and Tony are coming up. So it's like what do you do for them too? So and Pacheco, they're already looking at like running backs of the future, like of next year's class, because next year's running back class is supposed to be full of dudes. So
that's
a lot. Yeah,
it's very
better than
this
year.
Way better.
Right. So already looking forward to next year. It's going to be a lot of things that the front office is going to be looking at. It's going to be like if they actually do three-peat, that's going to make it because emotions. But the Chiefs are very good at not letting emotions cloud like money decisions. So. So yeah, this season's gonna be a lot riding on like a good chunk of like their core pieces. So
yeah, absolutely. And I'll say a sneaky, person that is in that group as far as expiring deals is Noah Gray. We talk about obviously drafting Jared Wiley a year ahead, and now you feel like you're good in developing him, obviously, to take over that spot in a year from that aspect. And so all of those things are certainly planned ahead for. And you talk about running backs and wide receivers. Things that weapons are going to be cycling in and out, and you trust Mahomes to continue to elevate those guys in injury to put them in positions to succeed as well. So before we get out of here, I do have to ask, I mean, how much are you looking forward to making that trek up to St. Joe, man? In the
hot St. Joe on a summer day, baby. Can't beat it. Where else would you rather be?
At home in the AC.
Where else would you rather be, baby?
Probably back in the newsroom.
Hey, but I'm that degenerate that like does not mind watching like football practice. Like that's the thing is like after the first week, like most of the media folks are like, all right, get this over with. But I'm like that's things like for me, like if I get into something and I zone in on it and I focus on it and I'm like deep in it, then I can ride with it like as long as it's possible. So if I go to every day at training camp, like I'll lose sleep, but like it's fine because like I'm watching practice every day. I'm watching guys progress. I'm doing my job. So like, I'm doing my job and like watching guys progress and like just learning more about the game, and I'm getting more educated with the game, even though I've been around the game, played the game for like my life. But still, I'm not kind of degenerate. I'm like, and plus I like the heat. I don't care if I'm sweating like 10 pounds off a day. Like I'd rather that than negative 30-degree wind chill.
30 degrees.
Legendary day.
You ain't lying. You ain't lying at all.
Ooh, I can't believe I stayed down that field for probably like an hour. Like just walking back in, back out every like 10 or 15 minutes, using my phone minimally. Like, all right. Yeah.
Exposing as little skin as possible.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't feel my fingertips for like a day or two after, boy. It was rough.
Oh yeah. See, I don't know how the fans did it, like sitting outside for like 3 hours plus. Like
I don't know either, PJ. I was at home. I was in the crib.
Like
I was in the box. I was in the club level, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
I was like, I'm going here with y'all.
We had the heated vest, the hand warmer, foot warmer, multiple layers, but we still was inside at times too.
Oh God, I ain't crazy.
See, like that's the thing is that like the people who are like, nah, this game is for Raytown and Independence and like Fort Osage. I say yes. This is y'all's game. If you want to bring it,
go ahead.
Get the $50 tickets. Like
the tickets are affordable. You come through. You better.
That's
bring
all
extra
you.
liquor.
You got it. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Johnson County would not be here.
We will not
nope,
be there.
Not showing up at all. Woo-wee.
Oh, God.
All right. So real quick though. So watching training camp practice, is there any position group specifically you like to key in on? You know, are you trenches guy? Like to see the weapons, defensive backfield. Where do you key on a more consistent basis? Obviously, you watch the entirety of practice, but anything specifically you like to key on?
I'm a trenches guy. Like I was D-line linebacker. So like front seven is kind of my wheelhouse. I like focusing in on that with seeing what concepts they run and like guys' hands placement, things like that. Because I know trenches the most out of like all techniques. So watching that, but I mean the receivers is what we're mostly gonna be watching. Like just like every year, it seems like with the Chiefs, you know. So kind of seeing because we really didn't see Tony at all last year during training camp. So
I heard the first day.
Heard the first day catch.
So the third punt return.
A punt. I'm like Jesus.
So watching him progress, if he like actually, if he can make it healthy through camp, watching him progress, seeing how him and Sky Moore react. Obviously, watching Xavier Worthy and all the rookies. But one thing that they didn't exactly build depth on is interior D line it's kind of difficult to do that with Chris Jones because he occupies the three techniques. So you're almost looking for nothing but noses. So it kind of limits you in a sense. But seeing the interior D line depth because last year, like when Chris Jones wasn't there, it was apparent. So and they didn't draft anyone. They got a UDFA who they like. So we'll see.
Florida State, big boy.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, mostly looking at receivers, and then like definitely will be keying in on left tackle, seeing how Kingsley and Wanye battle day in day out throughout those weeks. So it's gonna be a fun camp. Plus 1v1s with all five of the receivers.
Yeah,
like Worthy has some dudes like ankles.
I'm looking forward to seeing McDuffie versus all them wide receivers for sure. That's gonna be very fun to watch.
Yes. So no, training camp is gonna be fun.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Do they have they said anything about FAU or is there any talks around the organization that they have a feeling that he's gonna have an impact? Yeah, impactful year this year, progressing well at this point in time.
Well, like George did last year, he stepped into the Tamba Ali school of pass rushing. So that's a good first step. So. So I think that's a good first step. We haven't really asked him about it just because he's kind of lower on the totem pole, but it's gonna be on him again this year early to step up just like he did last year early. Because the minute he was out again until probably November, December when he comes back from that ACL. So watching how Felix has progressed is also going to be a big thing just because edge, even though Mike Dana's back, which is very good for them. So
big time.
Yep, absolutely. I think that Dana is probably, one of the more underrated offseason moves just from the standpoint of securing that room. Obviously, Amenihu coming back from the ACL injury, and we know how much Amenihu has said, told everybody that will listen on social media that he's going to be back from day one. But we know that ACL injury, especially something that happens in the playoffs, is going to be extremely tough to come back from quickly from that aspect. But I will say, FAU taking a progressive step that I do expect from them. I think that this defensive line can be better than it was last year. And obviously the defense was as about as elite as possible in general the entirety of the season from that aspect.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I know CJ is going to be extremely happy to watch the Irv Smith versus Jared Wiley.
Oh, I'm watching all the reps, baby. I'm on the end zone by the hill. Y'all know where I'm at. I'm watching the tees all day, every day. I'm watching all the reps. Man. Trav coming down the hill. You already know where I'm at. I'm watching the linemen. I'm watching it all. That and the safeties, that's going to be like my favorite part of practice. One-on-ones with the safeties and the tight ends is going to be the best part of camp.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see Jalen. I need to see Cook. I want to see Justin Reed match up against Trav, Wiley, Irv. how they battle out for tight end 3, like D-Mac just said. That's going to be my best part of camp. I play tight ends. Obviously, I'm biased, but that's always my favorite part of camp because it's a small group. It's usually the smallest unit on the team. So outside of quarterbacks, and they don't get as much attention outside of Trav. So I'm always excited to watch that group for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm also curious to see I'm curious to see how much Kelsey we get in this year's camp, because last camp was like
he was sick and tired of everybody.
Kelsey overload.
He was fighting every day. He's like, "Get over me, bro."
It was Kelsey overload last year. So I'm wondering like if he actually like does be like, all right, like
a lot of veteran days.
Tell Andy's gonna be like, hey, take some reps. Like,
take the week off. You good, bro? See you next week.
It's fine. Like it's okay. We know you can do it. Like you can sit these reps out. But Travis Kelsey he wants every rep. He's like every pro athlete. He wants everything. So
thanks.
And look, along those lines, I think that, for CJ specifically, this is the best safety room and the best tight end room that we've had in the Mahomes era. I mean, look, by all means, I do love Tyrann Mathieu. I absolutely love Honey Badger. But you talk about 1 through 4 and 5 if you include what Deion Bush brings to special teams. And obviously, we've talked about, these 4 tight ends that we feel really good about. It's going to be very fun to watch that group go at it in those one-on-ones for sure. We're going to be up there in St. Joe, man, telling the truth and having a good time for sure. We'll see PJ up there sweating 10 pounds off the day. Absolutely.
We will be out there, man. We will be out there.
Absolutely. So, look, PJ, once again, thank you so much for coming on. Had a great time. Please do plug where everybody can find you, what to key in on, and all the great stuff you create, man.
Yep. Twitter at PJ Green TV, fox4kc.com/sports. I run the whole section pretty much. So if I'm not working, you can tell probably. But if I am working, my stuff will be up there. So it'll all be there. fox4kc.com.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for coming on again. For DG, CJ, and myself, man. Let's tell the truth. Peace out.
Thank y'all.
Sir.